was feeling a mixture of sadness and scared because I didn't know if he was gonna die or not.
Rescue.
Yeah.
Rescue.
Yeah. He fell off a cliff.
Fell off a what?
He's injured.
Where did he fall at?
He fell off a cliff.
Where at?
Like over, where is it? Okay, here.
Is there anybody else here?
Yeah, talk to her.
Okay.
Yeah, the man fell off a cliff down here at the Old Quarry Road.
Old Quarry?
Uh-huh.
What's the address there?
If you come to the ballpark, somebody can lead you down there.
At the ballpark?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and, what is your name?
Gloria Harlow.
Okay, how old does this man look, you know?
I couldn't tell you. I just got the kid's message. How old is he? He's 35. In his middle 30s.
Is there anyone there with him at this time?
Is anybody down there with him now? There's one of his sons with him right now.
He was pretty much cut up and twisted and bent out of shape and everything. And that's what kind of shocked me because, I mean, he just seemed so alive and everything. And then to see him so helpless, it was just sort of a shock to me.
On Quarry Road, near the ballpark, reported a subject falling over a cliff. Charlottesville Rescue trauma level, squad level. See the medic 132, squad 133. At this time, we have no further information.
Units from both the Charlottesville Fire Department and the Charlottesville Albemarle Volunteer Rescue Squad responded. Lieutenant Charles Werner was one of the EMTs on duty that day.
We were dispatched to the cliff rescue. At that point, we didn't know, the information was vague, so we weren't aware of the actual situation of the person who'd apparently fallen.
I was telling him, please don't die. Everything's gonna be okay. You're gonna be home, Mom's gonna see you and everything. She'll be happy to see you.
– 14-year-old Corbin Snow met Fire Captain Bill Lewis at the nearest road and told him what had happened.
Lieutenant Werner and I talked it over, decided that I was going to go ahead with the kid immediately so someone could get there as soon as we could.
Corbin and Captain Lewis hiked the half-mile to where Barry had fallen.
Right here.
What happened?
He fell off the cliff right up there.
After talking to his son, and his son explained to me that he almost was at the top of the cliff before he fell, and in my mind then, you know, the man was in it was a miracle that he was even in the shape that he was in then.
We did start basic life support measures of controlling the bleeding and to maintain an airway.
Okay, you got his head, right? Yeah, I got his head.
His son Jeremy was there, and he was able to give us information specifically as to how his father fell, which helped us in providing the best treatment that we could. We were able to determine by the mechanism of injury that he probably had a great deal of internal injury, and we realized that he may have some spinal injuries.
Hey, Barry, you doing all right? He won't tolerate an OP airway. He doesn't have enough room.
Okay, straighten his arm out.
Okay, Captain, you still got the head, right? Yeah, still got the head.
That's good.
Okay,
Like
bud.
I was calm because I knew I had to be. If I went berserk, then it wouldn't benefit him any. And I had always learned that you need to keep calm so you don't end up maybe even hurting the victim even more.
Barry McLaren was rushed to the University of Virginia Medical Center in critical condition. Dr. Adam Abram was the general surgery resident on call that day.
Are you getting air into your lungs? Okay, 1, 2, 3.
He came into the emergency room and he had obvious facial trauma, a lot of hemorrhaging from his mouth, open gaping wounds on his lower chin and on his cheeks.
Barry, take a deep breath.
Anytime you have facial fractures, the possibility of a cervical spine injury and paralysis is always there.
Barry, do you know where you are right now?
Right arm down for me.
You know where you are?
His mental status was slowly deteriorating. He wasn't able to communicate as well. He seemed to be losing his orientation.
Pelvis is stable, skull is soft. Okay, this leg here is obviously broken. There's a bone deformity right here. Okay. Are they ready in CAT scan yet?
Okay.
As soon as she was notified of the accident, Barry's wife, Mary, came to be with her husband.
He had fallen evidently on his jaw. His mandible was broken in 25 or more places, and it evidently shattered up into his face and into his forehead. The doctors came out and talked with me and got me to sign permission forms for the surgery that he was going to face that day for the bleeding in the brain.
Hi, Mr. Turner. I'm Mike Galvin. When you search the resident, he's doing fairly well. I mean, he is still kind of groggy from the anesthesia, of course, but he is responding well.
The operation to relieve the buildup of blood on the brain was successful. But with numerous broken bones throughout his face and body, and a punctured lung that led to pneumonia, Barry's life was not out of danger.
When his eyes opened, they were so filled with pain. I had never seen anything like that before. But his eyes, you could see that there was a great deal of pain in his eyes. I never really was able to talk to him because his jaw was wired shut and they had his face all bandaged up. His jaw was still in pieces, basically. My mom and he knew sign language and they could communicate that way.
Jeremy and Joshua,
I went over to the bed and the boys were getting a little bit worried about him too because he was signing in sign language. No more pain, want death, want home. And I knew he didn't mean this home. He wanted to go to his heavenly home.
The pain that he was going through was so excruciating that he had just given up his will to live.
I wondered if it was right for us to ask him to stay here and suffer so much. But I knew that he needed to be here for our children, that they needed a father.
After 3 weeks in the hospital, Barry McLaren had managed to recover enough to go home. But he still was facing 5 months of painful physical therapy before he would be able to walk without crutches.
By Saturday evening, the pain was so severe that I really preferred the thought of not continuing, of going ahead and giving up my life. But the thing that, of course, kept occurring to me was that I didn't want to leave my wife. I didn't want to leave my children.
I think probably because my father was so strong and healthy, that's probably what helped him to get through the accident. Also, probably what helped it on was my mother's and father's love for each other. They love each other very much. I couldn't even begin to explain how much they do.
It's been a hard-fought battle to have come from near death and fought my way back. It feels to me like it was my family and I that fought our way back. And so while at the same time there's the loss of the sense of invulnerability, there's also a sense that, hey, we can do anything together.
Knowing who to call can help save lives. If your community does not have 911, post the emergency numbers in your area by each phone. This series is dedicated to all the heroes who choose to get involved when a life is at stake. I'm William Shatner. Join us again next week for more true stories on Rescue 911.
For all the news you need to plan your day, turn to the WBAL TV 11 News at 6 a.m. with Liz O'Neill and John Collins. It's the best way to start your day.